Get Heavy Podcast, hosted by Craig Casamas and John Scheimer.
Are you building the Great Wall of China over there at your house, or what's going on?
Yeah, we built our own walls over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, my plan for total isolation is fully in step. So
Fully
Nice.
yeah.
That's beautiful,
It
man.
was quite the task, man. It was quite
could
the
tell.
task. Yeah, 5,370 blocks.
Good thing you were a Mason in your past life, huh?
Can we please get a recount on those, please? Thank you very much.
Let's see. My lighting girl is here now.
Hi, Nancy. Long
Nance,
time no
the only
see.
one here helping around. What's going on? Fucking Adam, dude.
Holy shit!
Hey, there he is.
Go.
How's that?
It's all right.
There we go.
There he is.
God, I feel like I'm being fucking interrogated now.
You should be. You should feel like that.
Dog.
So what's new, man? It's great to see both of you guys.
Yeah, likewise,
Go,
brother.
bro. I
So
feel like I haven't seen you in a while.
I know it's been It's been years.
It's been years.
man.
I was thinking of our old minivan trip that one day. Remember that?
Yeah, that kid's van.
Yeah, in that kid's van.
Yeah.
Dude, I was thinking about that today. I was like, bro, that has been like 20 years.
It has literally been
It's
20
been 20
years.
years since like that happened. I was like, holy shit, we are old.
I remember that kid. His name was Sean. We used to steal his mom's van.
Right, Sean. Dude, okay, so like there was this kid Sean and Fish and their friend Johnny. Do you see Johnny? Is he out there where you are?
No, Johnny's up north now. He's been up north doing his thing up there.
Okay.
For a while now. He's up in the Emerald Triangle doing his big shit up there.
Doing his thing. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. But there was this kid Sean, and he had a Dodge, like a 90s Dodge Caravan.
Gold.
And they would convince him to steal it. Like all the time. And like, I mean, we were shitty punk kids. Like easily.
The epitome of
shitty punk kids. And like, dude, I just remember there was this one time we took a bunch of acid and we drove around in this fucking thing. And this kid, we put the kid in the back seat of the car.
In his own car?
In his own car.
Oh yeah,
And
we drove it. He never.
Yeah,
drove.
we drove it. We drove it. We drove around town. We drove around town all night long. And like we would be like we would take it out like four-wheeling. We'd go jumping it and stuff like that. And the whole time I remember I was sitting in the back seat. I was actually sitting in the back seat next to him. Because I think I was the only person over 18 or something like that. I think I was the only person over 18, and I was like, I remember I put my ID, I left my ID wherever we were, and the whole night I was like, my name is Carlos. If anyone asks me, my name is Carlos. If we get pulled over, my name is Carlos. But like we were just like taking this thing, and like I kind of felt bad, like kind of is loose term, but like we would like mess up this thing and we would all be cracking up, and I would look over at this kid because I'd be like, holy shit, like we're straight like fucking up this dude's mom's fucking car.
Tearing it up, dude.
He would be like trying to laugh. He would try to laugh it off, and he was not.
There's always those kids that just get straight up steamrolled, dude. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Like he's just like a fucking human steamroller. Like a human pancake, you know what I mean? Like
I feel bad to this day about that kid. And when that time he's talking about when he wheeled that thing back to the house, it had a busted oil pan.
Yeah.
From jumping it in the desert.
Dude, yeah. Well, no, there was this like later in the morning, like it was like 7, 8 in the morning. I remember I was sitting in the living room of the house we were at, and this is how long ago I think they went to go to McDonald's. I think they went to McDonald's or like donuts or something like that. And Fish and a couple of the guys go, and I just remember sitting in the living room, probably still tripping balls. And all of a sudden, I like hear the car. I just hear like, and like I open up the curtain. I open up the curtain, and I look outside, and I don't see anything. And then I just see the fucking van, like pull up, like slam on the brakes right in front of the house, and then like do this like slow turn into the driveway. And the driveway had like, you know, it's like it goes up, then it has the sidewalk, and then it goes up the driveway. Mm-hmm. Like I think he like turned straight, and my car was in the drive. My old Tercel was in the driveway.
Yeah.
And I remember this because like he went to go pull into park and just floored it. And I think this when the oil pan broke. He fucking bottomed out on the fucking sidewalk, and the car caught complete air. And I remember just seeing it like start to angle towards my car, and I'm like, oh shit. And then they stopped and didn't hit the house or the car. And that was like 8 in the morning.
But it was pouring oil.
Dude.
So with that, I would like to introduce our So with that, I would like to introduce our guest of the week, one of my oldest friends, Craig's cousin.
Yep.
Mr. Adam Loyd.
Yeah, Adam Loyd, Fish, aka Fish.
How do you do?
So here's the weird part. Here's the weird part about this is that me and Scheimer did not know each other at all from the desert. You know what I mean? Like I moved out of the desert when I was much younger. I've known you my whole entire life. Well, I've known you your whole entire life, right? So we grew up together.
Yeah.
Our moms are best fucking friends. We call each other cousins. You are as close to blood to me as anyone's gonna get. And we should get into some of the mom stories later, honestly, because it's endless chaos. But I meet Scheimer many years later down the road, and we become friends. And I go, dude, do you know my cousin Adam is like into punk, and he's always been like a part of the scene. Do you know him? And he's all, is your cousin's name Fish? And I'm all, yeah, actually, it's what people call me. He goes, holy shit, dude. And it's like all of a sudden the triangle's complete. You know what I mean? And it's just so ridiculous that it's happened like that. But we have literally, I've known you since you were born. My parents and my mom and your mom have been friends since they were 15 years old. They grew up together. They fucking raised hell together. They beat our asses together. They've left us for hours on our own while they were at the bar. You know what I mean? There's so much of that shit, dude. Anyway, it's such a trip that the triangle is complete at this point, you know?
Yeah.
It is a small world, man.
Right. It is a small world. So what's up, dog? How's life treating you? How are things?
Hey, man, life is life right now is really, really good. Things are really going great for me, man. I really have a lot to be grateful for these days. And, it's just, we just bought this new place out in the middle of nowhere with shitty internet, but it's a pretty decent spread. And, I'm doing my best to try to pretend to be an adult, man, and just keep my kids alive. And that's about where I'm at, man. Just working and surviving.
Dude, it is hard to try to be an adult because, like, when we were younger, like, we were never supposed to be the people that we are. Like, never planned on this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wasn't planning on being alive.
Yeah.
You certainly acted as such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember at one point I was like, there's a lot of people that are like, I didn't expect to live till I was 30. You know what I mean? And you were like one of the kids where I was like, man, I don't want to fucking see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to see that, but it was going, it felt like at times it was going that way, man. And for you to be able to pull it together like you have, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, fuck, man, tell us about some of your journey, to where you are.
Well, being, it's weird, the conundrum of going from that type of life to, actually like pulling my shit together. And, it's almost like, it's kind of a weird thing because now I have so much to live for that I'm like deathly afraid of dying. and,
Right.
and back in the day, it's like, it was kind of a free feeling of not caring if you lived or died, because it was just, we're just having a good time. But now I have so much to, you guys know how it is with when you have kids, and you're conscious about it and you're just fucking, it's just kind of a trip, man, to just have so much to live for. And I lay in bed at night and I just think about mortality all the time and how I only have like, another good 30 years and then this fucking trip's over. And then 20 years after that, my kids are going to die and all this fucking weird shit, man. But,
right.
My trip started, around like not, the early 90s, 93, 94. And, Craig, I know that you were already out in Ventura.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was a young kid and I was getting into like certain kinds of music, and you were a few years older. So you were already doing the punk thing. And
mm-hmm.
I used to really look up to that, but I'd only see you on visits in Ventura and I'd get, tastes of what was going on out there. And then I remember, coming out there, and you were into all like you were just into all the cool shit, man. And I would come out there and I'd go to Warehouse Music and try to buy all the punkest cassettes that I could find. So that way when I got there, I could impress you, with these tapes. And I remember I showed up with like an Offspring tape or something, thinking that it was like the new shit. And you really probably should have made fun of me, but you were so welcoming that you treated me like I was just the coolest still, man. And,
yeah. That was in the height of the poser punks and the whole deal, you know what I mean? And I remember being so stoked, like when you actually moved to Ventura, to Oxnard, to the Shores, right? Where'd you live, in Shores? The Shores for a little bit?
Yeah, I moved.
Right.
That's when I moved like a year or two after that, I moved to Oxnard Shores.
Right.
And then that's kind of where my journey began. My mom was doing her, obviously, they were wild. She was doing her running around partying thing and doing her best as a single mom to raise a young bastard like me.
Mm-hmm.
And then she actually got together with Scott Patterson for a little stint there for a little while when we lived in Oxnard. The singer for Fed Up, who's still a really great friend of mine today. He's one of the only people that I really am in contact with constantly. We're still hanging out all the time.
Scott's a person that I talk to. I talk to too. I mean, when life was normal, I would see him out and about more than anybody else from the AV.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, like, dude, when you guys moved to the Shores, it was like I had my little friends that were like, I was involved in the HG days and the Christian shit, but like you were my blood and we were able to just be completely ourselves in front of each other. You know what I mean? So I would come out there and I remember I smoked pot with you. I think you were fucking like 13 and I was maybe 14. And we stole a bunch of your mom's weed and smoked a shitload of pot and listened to like Punk and Drublick like 1,000 times, you know what I mean? And laughed hysterically, you know what I mean? Like those days were so fucking like so awesome to me, you know what I mean? Because I could do my sneaky little shit, like normal teenage shit with you, and then do the fucking church thing, on the side. You know what I mean? It was awesome.
And I remember even a couple years before that, you coming out to Lancaster. And it was the church thing was going on, and I remember you took me to see this band, and it was kind of like, even though it was a Christian deal, it was really my first like visual of like punk rock in my whole life. And I remember the band's name was Officer Negative.
Right. Yeah.
And You took me. They played at some church in Lancaster, and the singer had a mohawk, and the side of his head he had the swastika with the fucking red line going through it.
Right.
And I remember thinking, this dude's the coolest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And from there, I just kind of pursued it. But then, a few years later, I ended up in Oxnard, and my mom was with Scott, who was in Fed Up at the time. And then my cousin Steve Kanelican came and moved in with us with Eric Armena.
Yep.
And him and Scott and Eric, they all got together and shaved my head into a mohawk, gave me my first punk CD, threw all my Silverchair CDs away.
Yeah.
And all that shit. And then they took me, I remember they took me to my first show. It was 95, I believe. They brought me out from Ventura to Hesperia. It was like my first real show experience. And we seen Drunken Mishap, We Out, Smack, and Subjective Right at this little club it was in Hesperia. And that was that was when I first met Joe Armena. And that was kind of like my first get down, and I really liked it because being a young alcoholic, I could hang out with these people and they would let me drink and, smoke cigarettes and smoke weed, even though I was only, 11 or 12 at the time or whatever. But as long as long as I was with them and safe, my mom was okay with it. Mm-hmm. So that kind of was the beginning of my journey. And I remember being in the back seat of this car with this dude named his name was Willie, and he's in prison now for life, but they were all fucking doing crank in the car, and I was like this little kid, and it was like my first time ever seeing like people getting loaded like that. And they're passing the little tray around with the rails on it, and he was like, they wouldn't let me have any, even though I kind of wanted to see what that was all about.
It's nice that they had some sort of ethics and morals. Right?
Yeah, they're kind of little.
Don't give it to the 12-year-old, dude.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
Do it in front of him. Do it in front of him. That's fine. Don't give it to him though.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta talk about
the code there, man. And then, and then that night, I met Joe Armena, and he kind of roughed me up, and they all really liked me. I had the big mohawk, and he, slammed me around the parking lot, and they jumped me into their little fucking, skate punk gang. Mm-hmm. And, that was my extended family, for years and years. And even still to this day, I still know a lot of them. But I think a lot of that for me was, growing up with a single mom, all those cats were way older than me. So looking back on it in retrospect, I was really looking at all those guys as like big brother, father figure types. So there was a safety involved with being with those dudes, Yeah. And
dude, we were lost kids, man, back in the day. You know what I mean? We were lost little children, man. I mean, not that it's, fucking it has to define your whole life, but me and you, man, with our moms and what they were doing and obviously they were good moms. They were trying their fucking best. My mom was insanely overwhelmed. Your mom was fucking overwhelmed, somehow holding down an actual career at the point. You know what I mean? But we were fucking lost little kids, dude, just looking for anything that wasn't a fucking chaos. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. And they always did the best that they could, and they did a great job while trying to still live their lives too. Mm-hmm. And honestly, we never really did them any favors with the way that we
definitely not. Yeah,
we're acting.
Yep.
It's a trip how. Just how lucky to be alive we are with all the wild shit that happened, and so after that show, that was pretty much like that was my thing from then on out. And then it was all about, peace punk, get drunk, spike your hair, go out, hang out, do you really care, man? And that's what my whole life was about, was getting fucked up and doing fucked up shit, skateboarding and that's where the name Fish came from, was skating at Buena Vista High School with a bunch of randos. And one of them I had my mohawk up, and one of them was like, that fucking little kid looks like a fish. And it stuck, man. And I'm, about to be 37 years old, and my nephew calls me Uncle Fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still feel weird. It's still weird to me to call you Adam.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I might be one of the only ones that knows you as Adam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my friend Bobby Allman was here just the other day, and he's known me, since I was that little kid. He might have even been at that show. And when I friended him on Facebook just like 4 or 5 years ago, he's like, "Who the fuck is Adam Loyd?" He was telling me that just yesterday, man. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it was a
still-
trip, dude. I mean, our fucking, when I think about some of the stories with our moms that our moms tell, and especially your mom, like my mom was fucking mean, but your mom had that next level Italian psychotic fucking thing about her, dude. It was
And all
so
the gnarly shit
insane.
she forgets it all too.
Oh,
All
yeah.
the gnarly shit she doesn't remember.
Oh, yeah. Big
But
surprise.
I've been hit over the head with chairs from bouncing off the table for straight F's in middle school, and
Yep.
I've had the alarm clock hit me in the head, and fly swat. I remember getting whipped with a fly swatter at your house by Stan.
Right.
Remember Stan? When they would leave, and Stan, you don't remember Stan?
Fuck, man. I don't know. Maybe.
He used to babysit us, bro. And he would whip our asses with the fly swatter turned around backwards.
Yeah, okay. I remember getting my ass beat. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that fucking. Who was that fucking weirdo?
Stan, dude. Stan Hill. He's cool. My mom still talks to him.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I don't, dude. I do remember getting hit with the backside of a fly swatter and thought, this is weird. This is this is another level, dude.
The backside of water, it's the white person switch.
Right. Yeah, dude. I mean, oh, dude. Between his mom, I mean, just the insanity of verbal abuse that would come out of his mom's fucking mouth to us, when we were fucking up and being little kids, dude. And then my mom's ability to chuck, we didn't know what chanclas were back in the day. You know what I mean? Chanclas, like throwing fucking shoes. But my mom was a fucking assassin with that shit, dude. She'd hit you from around the corner. You didn't know what happened. You know what I mean? And she was real sneaky. Your mom, at least you knew it was coming. My mom would fucking get you when you weren't looking, dude.
Yeah, you know what's coming. And that's always been your mom's accuracy has always been something that I'm envious of. And my mom's ability to just
as a father
literally chop you down with words.
Yeah.
She will chop you down with words like no one's ever has before.
Yeah.
And leave you in a puddle of tears, man.
Yeah. No, I've been on job sites where guys are telling me I'm a piece of shit, and just like how you do surveying, you're in construction, you see what it is, and I've had guys talk to me. I'm like, you sound like my aunt. And like, what else do you have, dude? Like, because it's you're not even registering like on the fucking Richter scale of the crazy shit my Aunt Lisa said to me.
You're one peg below a little Italian lady, bro. You need to step it up.
Insane, dude. I think your aunt threatened to fucking she threatened to kill me once, and then also when I died, run me over. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was insane.
She's always wishing the best for people.
Yeah.
God bless her.
Fuck, man. We used to just raise so much hell for those people, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's really great.
The late '90s in the AV was a fun time though for the punk rock scene. What did you say, Adam?
It was definitely wild, and there was a lot of great bands, a lot of great shows. There was still that tail end of that fusion of a lot of boneheads were getting ran out, and a lot of boneheads were running the punks out of certain shows. So there was still like this weird meld of these Nazi punks and shit that we were just like, what the fuck is this? That shit that wouldn't fly these days, but it was definitely a wild time, man, and a lot of crazy violence back then, and
a lot of crazy violence, a lot of good shows, but like fucking dude, like the violence that came out of that time was impressive.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Impressive. I'm
It was,
bummed that
man.
we don't get to be like old people watching young kids do that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
It'll never happen like that
It
again,
doesn't
dude.
happen anymore, and I'm just
Well,
like,
maybe after the election it might, but that's about it. You know, I don't know. But
yeah.
I being like originally from that area, I knew that it was chaos. And with like the Wrath and all my bands started playing out there, obviously thanks to John, you know, I would tell the guys like, get ready, dude. This is going to be the most wild fucking night of your life. And every single time we played, it was insane. You know what I mean? Like people were getting their heads cracked open, and there's a riot, and there's fucking people pulling guns, and there's fucking.
That was at the same.
You know what I mean? That was all three of those things were at one show, by the way. You know what I mean? It's like people were pulling guns in backyards, and you know, it was fucking nuts over there. It's like literally the Wild West. Like I remember when I had moved back, I went and watched I Hate God play there. And I, you know, this is like not that long, 5 years ago or whatever, when they were kind of making their comeback. And they said, let's get weird. And Lancaster stood up and fucking saluted, dude. Like within 5 minutes, there was dudes naked and there was fucking people like, and I think even for I Hate God, they were like,
I saw
wow.
I saw I Hate God the next day. I wasn't at that show, but I saw I Hate God. I booked that show, but I wasn't at it. And I saw them the next day in San Luis Obispo. And I was like, hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? They're like, bro. Bro, let me tell you. And this is like fucking straight up like ex-junkies from New Orleans.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like ex-junkies from New Orleans are like fucking like, bro, Lancaster, dog. Lancaster.
Yeah, man.
I'm like,
shit got weird. Like within 10 minutes, dude. I was like, this is I'm so proud. I've never been more proud in my life to have some stake in this desert, you know.
One of my favorite things of having a band in Lancaster was we did this rapper Andre Nicotina. We did him at the Moose Lodge one night. And like the show tanked, whatever. It was an experiment to see if it would happen. Show tanked, whatever. I'm paying the fucking manager at the end of the night. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, you know, whatever. We tried. Like, you know, we got to see if he can do it, you know? And he's like, yeah, dog. He's like, Lancaster. He's like, this is like a poor man's Bakersfield, huh? And I'm like, damn, player.
Yeah, even Bakersfield's got one.
We used to always be like, man, at least we're not Bakersfield.
Right.
Yeah.
But when like in the late, you know, the early 2000s, Lancaster was going off, dude. You know what I mean?
God,
yeah. Like when you guys were there before you moved John out to Ventura, you know what I mean?
Late
Lancaster,
90s,
it's not what it used to be, you know what I mean?
I mean, dude, we were fighting. We would like physically fight cops. Like, it was fucking gnarly back then.
Yeah.
Like they would know, all the cops would know all of us by name just from shows, just from parties and shows, and like shit getting so chaotic. So it was a good time.
So I know that like Adam, you spent years fucking. I mean, there was years where we were so worried about you. How did you like get out of that, dude? Like, how did you eventually do it? You know what I mean? I know obviously Nancy, you can attribute to a lot of it probably, but you know, I mean, you were at points where I was like, dude, I was so fucking worried about you, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
I probably never did a great job reaching out, or you know, but literally no one could get a hold of you anyway.
No one can save me but myself, you know. And
right.
Literally, all these fun times we're talking about, I spent all that time just sneaking around trying to stay as loaded as I possibly could on whatever I could. I was like a human garbage disposal of you know, anything that I could take. And it just, you know, I don't know what it was that, I just kind of got sick and tired of, ever since I was 12 years old, there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't have like a mind or mood altering substance in my body, you know? And so that was the only way that I knew how to live, you know, from a very tender age.
We would make homebrew all the time back in the day. Remember the old homebrew?
Oh yeah, dude, homebrew. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anything I could do, man.
Yeah.
And so it just got to a point, after, I then, I would go on tangents to where I would, I'd fuck around with the crank for a while, and then, I'd get, I'd be fucking staring at myself in the mirror, and, I'd look like like I just crawled out from Skid Row, and I'm looking at myself like I fucking look great, I don't know what everyone's fucking talking about.
I look like a human golem, but I'm good.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
So, and then I did this cycle of, doing that until, shit would fall apart, and then I'd lay off that and just drink really heavy, and then the drinking would kind of, take its toll, and then maybe I would just smoke some weed for a while, which is totally fine, and I wish that I could still just do that, but and I would just, and then I would just find out that I'm just putting myself in these cycles just to like fatten myself up for another run, and I did that for a long time, and then once I finally, I found Nancy, and I got married, and then I got comfortable, she owned a home, and all that stuff. So I got comfortable, and I was playing house, and then I got really, really far out there again, and after my she had a son already named Jaden, who I was doing my best to help raise. We have very similar backgrounds as far as our dads are concerned, and we have a really good relationship now. But once I got comfortable with that, and then Jax was born, I was off on this whole other run, and then I kept that up for a couple years. And actually, before all that, I did some time in the slammer. Well, it was my last run, and then got fat in the slammer, and then came out, got married, and then was on another run again, and then she finally just had enough after a few years, and she gave me the gift of desperation, and just told me something's got to change with you, because I was really doing a lot of weird shit. We get weird in the AV, like we talk about. I was doing a lot of, I was doing a lot of stuff with firearms and carrying guns around, and I was doing a lot of just criminal shit, and that's not the that's not my role as a family man, and she gave me the gift of desperation, was like, check it out, dude. Tomorrow you're going to rehab or you're leaving this house. And, I fought it tooth and nail. And she said, I got, she's well connected. She's an older punk. She's the OG punker from out here.
Yeah. Nancy's no bullshit, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. She was around this town, 10 years before me. She's a few years older than me.
Right.
She was the little fish in the 1980s out here, and so she had some guys come into the house that were going to remove me if I didn't want to leave, So I barricaded myself in the garage, and got my gun ready, and whoever comes through the door is they're getting in, and then the first person that came through the door was her, and we kind of had this moment, and then I agreed. I said I'll give this thing a shot, to save my marriage. So. A close friend of ours, Aaron, he runs the Los Angeles Children's Project out here. He's a great guy, one of the best guys I've ever known. He showed up the following night, or the next morning, I should say, at 3 a.m, and picked me up, and took me to the Claire Foundation, the treatment facility in Santa Monica. And I was deathly afraid of, the speed and everything I could give up, but I was so afraid to give up drinking. And then after that, I was trying to sneak these, I had these caps of wax that I was trying to sneak in, and I couldn't sneak them in. So I went cold turkey and kicked the crank. And I realized after a few days in there that, I could do it without all that. And then, it was just kind of a weird thing. A lot of people put up a lot of money to get me in there. And I just started to realize that a lot of people were, I really did have a problem. As much as I didn't want to admit it, there was enough people around me telling me, you got a fucking problem. Right. And so I gave it a chance, and then I did. I was supposed to be in there for 30 days. I know I'm rambling on,
No, that's exactly what we want to hear. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
I was supposed to be in there for 30 days, and I plugged right into whatever program they were kind of selling, and I'm a old punker, so I'm atheist agnostic, so they're trying to sell me God and shit, and I ain't fucking buying it, but I'm just gonna I'm gonna roll with it, dude. I'm gonna try to figure out this kind of this sober way of living, and just for my family,
Mhm.
And they say you got to get sober for yourself, but for me, I got sober for my family, and so I did that. I plugged right in, and I made some friends in there, and after 14 days, I started running like all these people started coming in. It's down in Santa Monica, so a lot of like prison guys would come in, and then I started running around with them a little bit, and then we were running like these little scams on people, and it kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. Like everything that I'm supposed to be learning in there, I'm just like doing this old behavior, but just a couple weeks sober now. So I was supposed to do 30 days. After the 14th day, I'm looking off my rack at this fucking bonehead. He's like doing burpees next to me and sweating, and I'm like, you know what? I'm fucking out of here, dude. So I packed up all my shit in the middle of the night, and I fucking AWOL'd from rehab after, only finishing half of the program. And I walked out down to the Santa Monica Pier, and, I had a bag full of clothes. That's all I had. And I went to a payphone. I called my wife, and she wasn't happy that I AWOL'd, obviously. And, yeah, because she's thinking I'm going to go right back. But I made a promise to myself that if I left that night, I'd give this thing a chance, And, so I called her and I said, I'm going to stay down here for the night. I know you have work tomorrow, so I'm going to try to make my way back tomorrow. And I told her where I'd be sleeping. And, Santa Monica Pier has those big cement, they're like the cement K-rails that are really fat that guide you out onto the pier. And I said, I'll be sleeping on those. So I laid down there and went to bed. And that guy, Aaron, God bless him, he showed up at, 3 a.m. again. He drove all the way down to Santa Monica, picked me up and brought me home, and Nancy wasn't happy. And then, the very next morning I got up and, I told myself, I'm going to take care of business. So I got up, went straight to one of them, to an AA meeting. And I heard what I needed to hear when I was there. And I decided, I'm going to take some suggestions. Obviously my best thinking in life hasn't really panned out for me. Like I've been really lucky, and I've been able to, I'm personable enough to where I forged some good relationships. And so I have those people barely hanging on by a thread, but as far as my life goes, it's falling apart. So let me see what these people have to offer. So I took some advice for the first time in my life, and, I did what they suggested. I started going to those meetings, and they had me go to 90 meetings in 90 days. And, it seemed impossible, and I had never, since, like I said earlier, from the time I was 12 to the time I was 29, I've never put one day sober together. So it was all brand new to me. So I had to have a bunch of these old fucking drunks, kind of show me how to live my life again.
Mhm.
And, so that's just what I did, before I knew it, the second or third meeting I went to out here, I ran into this guy named Dave, and I told him my story, and I needed a sponsor. So I got a sponsor, and that was him. And he gave me a fucking job doing heating and air, like, 16 days sober. And I went to work with him, and then, and by no stretch of the imagination, but did my life get any better in that first year? It was fucking hell.
Right.
I was still, just because I take away the drugs and alcohol doesn't mean I'm
yeah, you're not a complete human yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just my coping mechanism. In fact, that was even worse. I was still like kicking down doors in my house and putting my hands through the walls. And
it's like they say you can be dry or you can be sober, and you were just dry.
Totally, dude.
You were just dry, free of booze and alcohol, but like it's your head and how you act and how you treated life that got you there.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what you need to fix.
Exactly. And they, in treatment, they like make you, even if you don't get up at 6, they make you get up every day at 6 a.m. and make your bed.
Yeah.
Even if you're going to lay back down in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Right.
I ain't fucking getting up. So why do I got to make my bed? And every day they make me make my bed. And I'm like, and I didn't realize it until later on, like years later, I'm like, those dudes were just teaching me like the most rudimentary fucking parts of like just living a normal life.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
getting up and You just get up and make your bed, like, you know.
At least if you didn't do one thing else, you did that today, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How did you reconcile like the religious part of being sober with AA?
That's a really good question.
With being a fucking atheist punk rock.
Right. I mean, you know, we're all punks, and I read Noah Levine's book many, many years ago, The Dharma Punks, and that spoke to me like a lot. You know what I mean? Because that helped me kind of reconcile the religious part of my existence in punk rock. You know what I mean? Like, as weird as it is, like it's, you know, the religion part was an addiction that, you know what I mean? It was odd, you know, but Noah Levine's book, like the Dharma Punks book, really fucking helped me get some techniques to realize that it's not all about like the imaginary figure in the fucking sky. And it really is about you having to figure out how to do it yourself, you know?
Absolutely. And it's funny you bring up his book because I left that rehab we used to go to his temple. One of the places they took us was to his temple, because a lot of people that think like us, they reject these treatment programs because they hear God and it scares them away. And it's really just a euphemism, you know? So I left that treatment center with a Dharma Punks hoodie, and the back said meditate and destroy. So that was kind of what took me off, what started me on it was the whole Buddhist kick, you know? And it, you know, there's a lot of old timers and a lot of these hardcore, you know, evangelical types in those rooms, but you know, that shit's not for everyone. And I know people with long amounts of clean time that are still atheists. But for me, it started with the Buddhist thing. And then, you know, that was too much work for me. So I had to come up with something else.
You're like, I ain't got time for this shit.
Hey.
Fucking discipline,
I gotta clear my mind. What the fuck does this mean? God damn it.
I need instant gratification, bro.
I need that shit.
And that's, you know, for years I lived with the mantra that my anger keeps me sharp. My unsettlement, my absolute uncomfort in this world keeps me sharp, and it keeps me aware. So why would I want to find nirvana? Fuck that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's it, like how I felt for many, many years. And now I can understand the difference, you know what I mean, between just being like not a psycho and a fucking you know what I mean? Like you know, I see there's a real fucking difference, but that shit for me, like finding, you know, the Buddhist thing, which is honestly, it's the closest thing to real, you know, that you're going to find, but it is a lot of fucking work. And then for someone to tell you that you're supposed to, you know, I mean, the whole thing, the teachings and this and that, it seems you know, there's like two guys that have done it. You know what I mean?
All of it seems a little much. It's just do what the fuck you can do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly. And I think that's part of the human condition is, you know, we have this, you know, this like, we all want to feel connected somehow to something, you know, and there's like this urge to find some kind of like spiritual quest, you know, like, because I'm afraid to die because I don't want to go to sleep forever, you know. Yeah. But I'm hoping I live my life in such a way that, you know, I'm satisfied when I do finally lay down to take the big sleep. But you know, for me to get past the notion of God and the program was, you know, I did the Buddhist thing, and I still practice meditation at a very primitive level, even still to this day. But I took just the energy of my family, like my wife and my children and my folks and all the people that care about me, that energy that connects us, that love, and that was my higher power. You know what I mean? It's not Jesus or Buddha or Allah or any of that fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just the energy that connected me to the people that I cared about. That's what I took, and it worked for me. And then some time went by, and I started, you know, I was out in nature one day, and I kind of had what they call like a fucking spiritual awakening. And I'm just looking at the trees.
Fuck yeah.
Huh?
Fuck yeah.
If you ever have an opportunity, man.
Yeah.
Hey, send me into the woods with some mushrooms, brother. I'm gonna have it. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had one in the van. I'm pretty sure I had one in the van that night before the oil can, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. When
Exactly.
when you're two
Exactly.
egg McMuffins down and you blow an oil pan in a minivan, dude, you fucking on acid, you have a spiritual awakening.
Dodge
Yeah,
1995 Dodge Caravan.
It's like the Konami code of
Yeah,
spiritual awakenings.
So then I took that, that energy, because that's undeniable. There is that energy. We all love our families, And then I was looking around one day and I was tripping on how many blades of grass there were out in front of me. And then I was tripping on the trees and I was tripping on the skies. And I was like, maybe it's just the whole universe. Maybe it's all my family.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe we're all just connected because we all just want to love and be loved. I mean, this is kind of getting heavy, you know?
Good.
But
hey, that's what the podcast, baby.
Yeah, man. So that was my get down from there on out. And still to this day, it's for me, it's the universe. They talk about, AA is a trip because they're like, oh, this isn't a religious program. But then at the end of the fucking meeting, they want you to hold hands and say the Lord's fucking prayer. And it's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But they talk about just a power greater than yourself. And what's more great than me than the universe, So I was able to kind of conceptualize it in that way. And it's worked for me, and that, what's worked for me might not work for the other dope fiend, but it's not up to me to fix him, so.
How many years sober are you right now, brother?
I'm coming up on 8. So I'll have 8 in about 3 or 4 months.
I'm so fucking proud of you, man.
Actually,
I'm so stoked for you, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, you were literally one of the kids that I thought, this isn't gonna end well, man. You know what I mean? And for you to defy all those odds, man.
You should have seen his group of friends. He was actually one of the more better off ones.
I know, but I only know him as the little kid that I grew up with, Yeah.
But yeah, with the reason I'm here and doing what I'm doing was with a lot of luck.
And people pushing for you.
And love.
Yeah.
Love too, like you were saying, love, man. I like that.
And love, man. Love. And there's a lot of people with the affliction like me that aren't as fortunate, man. In fact, some of the statistics are like 90% of all people who have addiction issues, they die. So I'm really fortunate, and it's still just for me, even still today. I mean, I put together some days, and they add up to years after a while, but it does become a part of who you are after a certain amount of time. But there's rough times, man, where I just have to just fucking not get loaded just today.
Yeah.
So it's, it's up and down, but as far as like, doing what I should be doing and stuff, I've managed, the material stuff isn't really that important, but I've managed to acquire a lot of it. And I really do have a seriously, like a very, very fulfilling life full of a lot of love.
Today. I saw that beautiful new fucking truck he posted the other day. Is that yours?
Oh, that's Nancy's truck.
That's Nancy's? Woo! Yeah. That made me jealous. She's had that truck since we got married, man. Oh, really? Okay.
Before we were married, she's had it for years. Yeah. I just wash it for
her. It's beautiful, man. Well, it's so amazing. I mean, because, coming from where we came from, dude, like, I just, there's so many fucking moments in our lives, you know what I mean, that I think back to and I think, how the fuck? Like, how did we even make it out alive? You know what I mean? Like, even with moms that loved us and, you know what I mean? I had no dad. You had no fucking dad. You know what I mean? Like, to get over those hurdles and to be able to continue to be, in your own life, have children and just know that this is not what you want to be. You don't want to be this. You know what I mean? Like, and I know you were in contact with your dad just like I was. He was kind of a fucking fair weather father is what I call it. You know what I mean? And I've gotten to have a great relationship with my father over the last fucking 10 years. You know what I mean? But
that's great.
you know, but I just think like so many times back when we were fucking kids, just staring at each other, looking at our parents, going like, "What the fuck?" You know, what I mean? You know, and it's like you don't know how the fuck you made it. And honestly, we didn't make it easier. You know what I mean? We didn't make it any.
No, we didn't. We didn't
My
make it
sisters
any
didn't. You know what I mean? I know you were kind of an
No.
only child for a while there, but you know.
Yeah, I was. I had only childness until 13 or so, you know, I was around there.
Right.
But but yeah, I mean, it was a lot of luck. I mean, even just the story that John was telling earlier about that van that night. I mean, that, you know, our whole childhoods, I mean, it was night after night after night of stuff like that. And we're lucky to make it out of that one night, you know, without getting rolled by the police or rolling that van down a hill or something, you know.
I mean, if you think about all the parties and like the constant chaos of like the late 90s and early 2000s shows, the fact that like, you know what I mean? The fact like, and it would be hundreds and hundreds of people where like nothing would happen. You know what I mean? I mean, like stuff would happen, but like no one, like, you know what I mean? Like there was very few major instances of like, oh shit, life altering things that could have easily happened.
Right.
You know, like
Could have
there's
easily
so
happened
many
at any time.
so many moments where shit could have gone wrong, and we made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember like we were living in Lancaster. Rosie had, you know, it was in the middle of fucking cancer treatments, and you're fresh out of fucking rehab. You know what I mean? And you come with me to a fucking show, basically at a bar. You know, it was a pizza place. You know, some benefit that some kid that I barely know had thrown. It was Scott. That Scott dude had thrown a benefit. You know what I mean? And I'm such a moron that I'm like drinking a beer in front of you. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know, you know, but I'm also going through my own insane trauma. You know what I mean? From like trying to get my wife through cancer treatment and shit. You know what I mean? It's like that. No one, you know, you don't forget that type of shit, brother. You know what I mean? Like for you to show up for me in that time, you know what I mean? Like it means so much, you know what I mean? And for you to sit through it, and obviously Nancy was there as an absolute fucking bulldog to make sure to slap any beer out of your hand.
She was my escape plan.
Yeah. You
She
know
was
what I mean?
my escape plan, you know?
Right, man. I mean, we've all been there for these moments for each other. And Scheimer, obviously, you know, in those times when we moved out to Lancaster, you guys were like some of the only people that came out to visit us. You know what I mean? Like, it's just fucking that. But that's what punk rock does. That's what like punk rock communities build, is that type of fucking mentality. You know what I mean?
It connects us all, you know.
It really does. You know, it's pretty amazing. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love it, man.
One of the gnarliest moments where my life flashed before my eyes, you know, of all time, was when you had that fucking unicycle back in the day, and I fucking took eating shit on that fucking thing all day one day, dude.
Yeah, I used to Scheimer, I used to be able to ride a unicycle like pretty well.
Yeah. Really good. You were fucking good at it.
You still can ride it, and we're gonna find out soon.
Please, yeah, we'll post some videos, dude. I guarantee
hey, can anybody donate?
I can ride that still.
Can anybody listening or watching please donate us a unicycle? We will film it, and we will FaceTime with you as it happens.
I had like a couple fantasies when I was a child, and it was to be in the Harlem Globetrotters, which obviously isn't going to happen, or also to be in the circus. I don't know, man. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I really like that type of shit. But riding a unicycle is one of my fucking talents, dude.
Talk about rebelling against the white trashness as much as you can.
Comes in.
Oh my
God. Yeah, I remember Adam almost broke his ass on that thing.
Oh, dude, you definitely shredded me up on the unicycle, dude. I could make it. And when you go down on a unicycle, man, it's fucking hard every time.
There's only one way to go down on a unicycle, and it's hard. You know what I mean? Yeah, a skateboard, you can kind of roll out of it. Obviously, you were a fucking great skater, dude. Like, you as like a 12-year-old were ripping ass. Like, I remember when you came to Anacapa, you were like already one of the better skaters at 6th grade or whatever. And everyone's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
This kid with like this giant mohawk is fucking ripping everyone's ass on the
Yeah.
skateboard. But guess
Well,
what, bro? I got
that-
you on a unicycle. I got you.
You got me, dude. You
Yeah.
do.
You know? Yeah, it was ridiculous, man. I don't know. Being kids is I wanted to be a Harlem Globetrotter, or I wanted to be able to fucking be in the
Harlem
circus.
Globetrotter. I want to know what you were rebelling against at that moment. Like, what was the thing that happened in your life where you're like, I'm gonna be a fucking Harlem Globetrotter?
You know what it was? Here's exactly what it was. I was really good at
What
basketball
racist ass
tricks.
thing happened?
I was very good at tricks, like rolling and spinning and fucking, doing the tricks. Not good at basketball. Not good at basketball at all.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I found my niche. You know what I mean? Just like punk rock. I found my niche real quick. I could do all the tricks.
Right.
I could roll a ball across my arms and across my back, and I could fucking do a nice little layup. But
Nice.
I'm not 7 foot tall black guy like at all. It's not even close. It's just not gonna happen, man. So I figured Harlem Globetrotter might be realistic expectations is the underlying theme here.
That's right.
You gotta know where you're valuable.
That's right.
Anyway,
Expectations are just premeditated resentments.
there you go. There you go. Perfect, man. That's beautiful. Well, fuck, man. Dude, it's been so awesome having you on. We'll have to have you on. You know what I want to do is get our moms on here, and like
I was
us.
thinking that when you.
Dude.
I was thinking that'd be a great idea.
I call in sick that week.
No, please come in because you need to hear some of the chaos that's happening. It's
Yeah.
fucking nuts, dude. Yeah, we should
We're gonna
do a
have to-
mom's episode, I think.
We're gonna have to take a back seat on that one, man, because they're really gonna kill the show.
Yeah, every one
And
of
I
their
don't wanna hear
stories
the
is
background.
like, as much as like Lancaster was insane in the 90s and the 2000s. Guess what was going on in the 80s, dude?
Oh,
Oh,
no,
God,
it was
dude.
fucking
You know?
Yeah.
And
All of the
my
fucking
mom
videos.
and his mom were fucking in the mix
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
no, the fucking 80s. I mean, the 70s and 80s was fucking my dad. But I mean, like, the 80s, I mean, I remember going to fucking, like, crazy Hells Angels and Vagos parties when I was a fucking kid.
Yeah,
Dude,
man.
my mom's told me stories about going to 100 kegger parties in the desert
Yeah.
where they had
I remember-
literally 100 kegs.
I remember one party when I was like, I remember going to a lot of get out of prison parties.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
one party, they had a hot air basket with no hot air balloon, and they were just fucking shooting the flame like 50 feet into the fucking air.
That's the most
Why
desert
not?
shit.
Just out on 80th Street East and like fucking Avenue E.
Not that far out.
Fucking in 1986. That was fucking far out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, man.
That's
so-
beautiful,
Fuck
man.
yeah, dude.
Well, fuck, man. Thanks for coming on. I love you, brother.
We're
I
gonna
love you too,
stop
man. I
recording.
love
We're
you,
gonna stop.
John.
We're gonna stop recording, and then we're gonna talk after.
I know, right? For sure.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
All right.
Hey,
Love you
thanks
guys.
so much for having me on.
Of course.
Thanks for coming on.
Anytime.